Hi! Today's video is about accusative and dative again, and for the piece of location. So when to use accusative and when to use dative for location in a sentence. Most of the sentence you will encounter will be dative. Why? Because most of the time a location is stable and don't change. So let's have a look. So you're all very familiar with prepositions. This is how the preposition table looks like. And if you're lucky, you encounter preposition like left or right. So maybe it's switch up because of the camera. So if you have this kind of preposition, then there's no problem. It's automatically dative. The next sentence piece will be automatically dative. So if you have ab, außer, zu, nach, bei, von, aus, mit, seit, gegenüber, you don't have a problem, you have automatically dative. And on the opposite side, if you have bis, durch, für, ohne, gegen, then you have always accusative. The problem starts if you have the middle column, these middle column. And these called Wechselpräpositionen. Wechsel means change, and preposition. So preposition who can change between accusative and dative. Okay, it looks like this. Wechselpräposition. So the easiest explanation, but not 100% correct, would be Wechsel means change. So if it's a movement, then there's something happened. So the easiest explanation now, which is not correct 100%, is this one. So you have all this, auf Deutsch, das heißt Koordinatensystem auf Deutsch. Also du hast eine X und du hast eine Y-Achse. Und zum Beispiel hast du einen Punkt hier. 4, 5. 4, 5. Wo ist der Punkt? Ist die Frage. Wo? Wo ist der Punkt? And automatically, this is the good thing, every time you hear the question word wo, then it's dative. Why? Because wo implies no movement. So you can just read it up. Der Punkt ist 4, 5. So now, if something happened like a movement, then we have other problems. So some of you know integral calculation. So for mathematics, integral calculation. So instead of a dot, we have now a movement. So how about what happens if we have something like this? So if you would ask now wo, you would only get the location for this single in this milliseconds. So it's not, you have to ask millions of time to ask. So in order to get this, you would have to ask wo. So instead of wo, you asked wohin. Wohin? Zum Beispiel, wohin gehst du? Wohin gehst du? I always try in my class, I always try to make the joke with a jealous girlfriend. The jealous girlfriend calls you hundreds of times. So instead of asking where do you go, she calls you every 5 seconds and asks, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Wo bist du? Wo bist du? Wo bist du? Wo bist du? So this would be the easy explanation, but it's not 100% correct. So let's repeat. So if it's stable verb, zum Beispiel essen, stehen, sitzen, sein, to be, then it's automatically dative. But if it implies movement, fahren, gehen, laufen, fallen, schwimmen, if it's about a movement, then it can be accusative. Okay, this is the explanation. So now, more in detail, when is it really accusative? So first of all, you have to check if it's a movement, is it a verb who implies movement? Fahren, gehen, fallen, fliegen. So if there's a movement, then it can be accusative. And then how to check if it's accusative? So here's me. That's myself. Again, we have to make myself a bit small. I would love if it's so easy like this. And the sentence is, ich gehe an Café vorbei. Okay, so now is this gehe is a movement. So accusative. Not correctly. If you think of accusative in a term of interacting, accusative interacting, if I say ich gehe am Café vorbei, then I move, but I don't interact with my object. So it's not accusative. Okay? So if I put myself here and I pass by, I don't interact with this coffee shop, and that's why it's dative. Ich gehe an dem Café vorbei. Another example. Ich gehe in Café. Okay, gehe is a movement. So there's a potential that is accusative. In, so how it looks like. I cross this boundary, so I interact with the coffee shop, so it's accusative. Ich gehe in das Café oder short, ich gehe ins Café. Here's me. Next example. Ich bin, I am. Automatically dative. You don't move. Okay, also, how it would be. Zack. Ich bin in dem Café oder ich bin im Café. Automatically. Gehe is a movement. But careful, zu is not Wechselpräposition. Zu is here, dative. So you don't have to think. Okay? So you see su are automatically dative. But you could also explain it the same thing with our theory. With our theory, we don't interact with the coffee shop. Why? We go to the coffee shop. So means we stop at the border. So you stop at the border, so you don't interact with the coffee shop, so that's why it's dative. So it's actually two meanings. So zu is automatically dative, you don't have to think. But if you want to use our theory of interacting with stuff, then you can also use it. So it would be, even in another sentence, it would be also still dative, because you don't interact. You can think of the wall. Remember, I always draw accusative in red. Let's imagine these walls are red. It's like with freshly paint, and at the moment you touch it, you become red. Also, you have color on yourself, so you become red, so that you become accusative. For example, what happened? I lean against the wall. Accusative. No? In the moment, the second you lean against the wall is accusative. If you then stable, then it's dative. Okay? So this one is ich gehe zum Café, and then the next thing would be ich gehe in das Café. Yeah? This one is it. Okay? So if you have these steps, Think of this jealous girlfriend again. You're far away and she calls you. Where are you? No? Or where do you go? Ich gehe zum Café. You're far away. This is your plan. You want to go to the coffee shop. In front of the door, she calls you again. You touch the door handle, you want to enter the coffee shop. She calls you again. Where are you? You say, ich gehe ins Café. Now you're entering the coffee shop. You hang up again. A few seconds later, you're already inside. Now, what do you say? Ich bin im Café. So accusative is just this brief seconds, if you see here, this brief seconds of entering something, interacting. Now you're in the coffee shop, you're dative. Why? Because you can ask wo. Okay? Good. 1 second. Game of Thrones style, Starbucks coffee. Okay, next example. So, what happened is, for example, I'm a waiter and I put this coffee here on the table. It's exactly the same as you entering the coffee shop. The coffee is now you and the table is now the coffee shop. You say it's weird, why? But if we look from upside down, it looks the same, you know? Upside down is a circle. So if you do this one, you entering the space here. So this moment is accusative. I can write down the sentence for you. Ich stelle den Kaffee auf den Tisch. There's 2 times accusative. No? Remember, subject can only be 1 time, but accusative can be 2 times. Kaffee is accusative because it's a direct object. You can ask was. No? Last week, yesterday, 2 days ago, I explained every time you can ask was, you get accusative, no? Except of subject, but we talk about this later. And now the location part is also accusative because you cross a boundary. It's a movement. Stelle is a movement, and you cross a boundary, you put it on the table, so accusative. So, what is this one? So now the coffee is on the table, I'm the waiter, I put the coffee on the table. So, which one is this now? Easy, dative. Either steht oder ist. So normally, if you have a stable verb, wie steht, der Kaffee steht auf dem Tisch. Okay, automatically dative. Das Verb is steht, to stand. No thinking here. No thinking. You only have to start think if it's a movement. Then you have to be careful. Every time your verb is a movement. How about this? What do you think? Accusative or dative? If you say accusative, you're right. So this is one vessel, this is another vessel. From here to there, you enter the space. I'll try to make it. So if this is the empty coffee, you go from outside to inside. Outside to inside. After you finish pouring, it's not a movement anymore, it would be dative. But the moment you pour, it would be accusative. So how to say this? how to say this sentence here. Ich gieße, gieße is to pour, ich gieße den Kaffee. Again, Kaffee is accusative because it's the direct object. Und dann in die Tasse. Gut. Nächstes Beispiel. How do you would describe this? Accusative oder dative? So, die Frauen spielen Fußball. Ja? Das ist das deutsche Nationalteam, deutsche Frauennationalteam. Also die Frauen spielen Fußball. So what's the question? Wo? Wo, so automatically dative. And you can immediately, there's a box, you know, if we highlight the box now, here's another box, okay? So it doesn't matter that they run around and play soccer. You know, they don't interact with this, they're already inside. If I watch from outside and I would ask where are this woman, they're on the soccer field, no? Exactly like on the table. No? He has no walls, so it's dative. So exactly like the coffee on the table is exactly the same as the woman on the soccer field, because they don't leave this field. The only time accusative would be when the moment when they enter the field. Die Frauen gehen auf den Fußballplatz. Platz ist place. Die Frauen gehen auf den Fußballplatz. Und auch also in the other way, if they leave it. If they leave the soccer field. Okay. This is a very simplistic thinking, but you can make it even break it down. So accusative happens more often. Why? If you want to be more specific. Okay. For example, this soccer field, they have a side for Germany and a side for, let's say, Japan. If they play against Japan. There are two fields. So what happened is, you can also say is the German team enters the Japanese side or Chinese side. So again, then you accusative. It can also be dative if you say the ball is on the German side. Der Fußball ist auf der deutschen Seite. Der Seite. Seite is normally female, so die Seite, but in dative change to der. Okay? So if you break things down, it can be very specific, and every time you're specific, it's very likely you cross boundaries. Let me have a look. 1 second, I'm back. Also the book, think of this, if this is on the table, and you put the pen on it, then it's exactly like, it's the same shape, you see? If I cover this now, here like this, you know, when we make it flat, if I, from outside to on top, this becomes accusative. If I move the pen on top of my book, I don't care. He's still on the book. If they run around here in their own half, I don't care. If I be more specific, it's like there's two halves or something like that. Similar to the soccer, to the ball. If you shoot a goal, also du schießt ein Tor, then the ball goes from the soccer field to the goal. So accusative. At the moment it's inside, dative. Okay, so I hope this helps. The video was again very, very long because I'm an idiot and I can't talk faster. I hope it helps. Please write in a comment if you have questions. Tschüss.